Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. A double honor to the apostles, elders at Great Millstones. Salutations to your Akim that's out there doing the work in truth and sincerity. This is Anaya Allah with the beloved truth. And today we're reading out of First Maccabees, the second chapter. And just a small synopsis. This is during the rule of the Greek Empire. All right. And at this time in history, it was ruled by Antiochus Epiphanes IV and a few other Greek generals who were pretty much underlings to Alexander the Great. And this is when Esau came into power fully, you know, and he took over the known world. But as he was taking it over, they were doing all sorts of heinous and wicked, evil things towards primarily the nation of Israel. Okay, and one of those things was they made a law against us to basically cut off all our ceremonies. It was basically for us to commit abomination. He put forth license so we can commit abominations. Also, to add, insult to injury, every month they would come into Jerusalem and they would force us to sacrifice unto idols, making abominable sacrifices to idols. All right. And it was forced. And if we didn't do these sacrifices, our people would be put to death. And a case in chapter 2, you see Mattathias. The book introduces you to Mattathias and his sons, Judas Maccabees, as it says right here, Johanan, Simon, Judas, Eleazar, and Jonathan. These guys were pretty much, the backbone of Israel at that time. And those that rebelled against the known powers, the Greeks, which are Edomites at that time, they would flee with, up to Succor, to, Judas Maccabees and his brothers and his father, But it came a point in time where Mattathias was tested, and, these Greek officers basically tried to make an example of Mattathias because he was old and wise and, pretty much had a following among our people. So I'll get into the point, and the gist of this lesson is, man, hey, we have great examples of those who were put in very, very, very dangerous or perilous situations, and they mustered up, hope and faith, and certain things that we're going to see about, our foreparents. One thing to mention also when you read this and you read other scriptures that pretty much coincide, our foreparents before, I'll say it like this, our foreparents, our forefathers would always commemorate and remember the things that our foreparents did that were courageous, man. And our foreparents stood against some very, very menacing, some very sinister, wicked rulers, man, and they kept their integrity. And then basically the gist of this lesson, so Salaki, I'm trying not to make this long, but Lord willing, it's edifying, all right? So this first Maccabees 2:17, it says, then answered the king's officers, all right, and said to Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren, all right? It says, now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, all right? Because you had heathens in the land of Israel as well who were replaced by the Greeks, because they were killing us off, okay? And this, pretty much goes hand in hand with the abomination desolation, or the desolation that make abominable, and that happened under Antiochus or Antiochus the fourth. Okay, he was very, very sinister. He was very, very, envious. I believe he had a few wars with Egypt. All right, and then I believe that was ruled by the Seleucid Empire. And what happened was the first time he made the king of Egypt, as a puppet leader, even though he had allegiance with Rome at the time, which were nothing more than Edomites as well. He, during his second campaign to fully take over Egypt, he was stopped in his tracks by Gaius, I believe, a Roman ruler, and the Romans stopped, Antiochus the fourth, his ploy against Egypt. And what happens after that is that he took it out on Jerusalem. Now, quote me if I'm wrong, but he, you know, he took it out on our people because, his campaign was pretty much came to a halt, a screeching halt, you know. And Gaius, I think this is his name, Gaius, I'm not sure, um, basically drew a line in the sand and gave Antiochus Epiphanes an ultimatum. And that ultimatum was to retreat, basically, to sum everything up. And, that guy, Antiochus the fourth, was terrible, He was terrible unto Israel, And so what happens is that, hey, the heathen was ruling over us. And Antiochus and his officers, man, would, pretty much had our people in dire straits. And once a month, they would come around and force us to do sacrifices. And during this time in history, we had one that stood up for us, Mattathias, which is Judas Maccabee's father, who kept his integrity. Just like all the men of the scriptures keep their integrity. You don't find none of these guys selling out or becoming, basically getting along, go along to get along type of spirit. What you notice with these men, these guys, they had courageous spirits. They had, relentless, God-fearing, spirits, and they kept their integrity most of all. All right, so Salakia. And like I said, I ain't going to read too much of this, but I'm going to read my points. It says, now, therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. So they were trying to make him an example, so all the rest of the Jakes will follow. All the rest of Israel will follow because, he was a renowned man, because he feared the Lord. He says, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends. See? And so if he would have sacrificed the abominable, he would have became friends with the world, which a lot of our people do to this day. Not only comparing and contrast, I know in the context is within, it's talking about a very specific point in history, but through the knowledge of the scriptures do we get understanding. And, the scriptures tell you that, and I think it's maybe, what is it, Romans or Hebrews 15th chapter or 16th chapter, 4th verse, which in fact I'll get, Salakia. It's one of the precepts I had set up. But let's get this real quick, Salakia. And then we'll go back. Salakia. Okay, I think it's Romans. Bear with me, Salakia. This is Romans 15 and 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So it's all about having hope and patience. And of course, we're being comforted with the scriptures, right? So let's go back to Maccabees, and we'll continue out from there. First Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, and the 18th verse, but I'm going to start in the middle. It says, "So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends." You see? And so he would have took a gift rather than, if he would have basically bowed out, he would have took that gift, just like most of our people take the same gift today. You have Polite talking about selling a portion of your soul. You know what I'm saying? That's not integrity. That's not integrity. And it's easy for people to just give in and just get all of them, and become friends and